Before we begin, take a moment. Wherever you are, whatever hour you've chosen for this, maybe tucked under a blanket or resting your head, I'm glad you're here. If you haven't already, hit like and subscribe. It helps me keep sharing moments like this. Now, let's settle in together. It's just past midnight. Outside, the rain has started again. Light, but steady. Tapping against the cabin windows with a soft, rhythmic sigh. The world feels a little colder tonight. You're alone in the cabin, the wood darkened by moisture. Smells of pine and damp earth floating in through a slightly cracked window. You've done what you could to make this place feel safe. A thick lock on the front door clicked earlier. The back door latched tight. Your flashlight lies on the kitchen counter, within easy reach, and your phone sits on the small table nearby, glowing faintly in the dim light. No one close by for miles, just trees, the occasional rustle of leaves, and the rain. You've been drifting between wakefulness and sleep, the kind of half-awareness only a quiet night offers. Somewhere near the bathroom door, you think you hear something, a soft series of footsteps maybe. Barely there, like someone trying not to be noticed. The floorboards in this old cabin creak underfoot in their usual way, but these steps feel different, slightly quicker, too deliberate to be the house settling. You stop, you listen closely, heart slowing to catch every detail. The footsteps pause suddenly, replaced by silence that presses in with more weight than the sounds. Rain drums softly against the eaves, a gentle static that fills the spaces between moments. Then, the faintest scrape, like fingers brushing against the edge of the bathroom doorframe. Your breath catches. You reach slowly toward the light switch but hesitate. Darkness, for a moment, feels less exposing than what the light might reveal. Instead, you move quietly, footsteps soft against the wooden floor, careful not to make a sound. The cracked window beside the door leaks cold air, brushing against your skin with a wet chill. You pause, hand inches from the door. From this side, you can't see the bathroom itself, but you can hear the faint slick slide of water dripping somewhere. Maybe the faucet left slightly on, or condensation from the shower pipe. The steps make no noise now, but there's a weight in the room that wasn't there before, like a breath held just out of sight. Outside, the wind picks up, sending leaves rustling along the side porch. You think you might hear footsteps moving around the back, soft and hesitant, shifting from gravel to wood planks. The sound of the back door's latch. Did it just pop? Your gaze darts toward the hallway window. The glass is beaded with rain. You catch a glimpse, just a shadow fleeting. You take a step back, reaching instinctively for your phone. Fingertips brush the cool screen. No missed calls, no messages. You set it on Do Not Disturb and dial the local emergency number, but silence answers. Your mind races, thinking over every simple step you can take. Check locks again. Search the house. Find a place to hide. But the rain smothers sound, and your own movements seem loud, intrusive against the night. You look down at your hands, wet from the damp air, and realize how taut your muscles have become. It's strange, how your body remembers how to brace itself against the unknown, even when your mind wants to shrug it all off. The rain continues, steady now, mixing the smell of wet moss and cold timber. You wonder how long you've been standing there. The toe of your shoe nudges something soft. Fallen leaves brought inside by the draft? No, footprints, small and damp, tracing a path from the bathroom toward the back door. You crouch to follow them slowly, heart weighing each step. At that moment, the silence stretches long and tight, the air heavy with expectation. In this quiet, surrounded by shadows and raindrops, the question lingers, what was real? Before we begin, thanks for joining. Wherever you are, whatever hour you've chosen to listen, I'm glad you're here. If you haven't yet, hit like and subscribe so we can share more nights like this. Now, it's 3:17 a.m. Rain taps steadily against the wooden siding outside. The air smells damp, fresh with pine and earth softened by the drizzle. There's a chill on your skin where the blanket has slipped down your arm, and the quiet hum of the heater nearby is the only steady sound inside the cabin. You're awake because something nudged you loose from sleep. A shift in the rhythm of the rain, the scrape of leaves in the yard, the faintest disturbance at the front door. You move carefully to the entrance, soft footsteps on the wooden floor, muffled by the thick rug. Your hand finds the old brass doorknob. It's cool and a little wet where a bead of condensation has gathered near the frame. Outside, the porch light flickers through the mist, casting long, shaky shadows that dance in the corners of your eyes. You're aware of every creak the cabin makes. Settling wood, maybe, or something else. You reach up to the peephole, heart steady but senses alert. As your eye meets the tiny lens, the world contracts. The radius narrows to one fragile circle of wet, dark night. You see nothing at first. The porch is slick with rain, and the small pile of leaves near the side steps shivers as the wind picks up. A plastic bag rustles, pulled like a flag by the breeze. Dim moonlight sketches pale outlines of trees heavy with soaked foliage. No face, no shape. But then, something shifts. A shadow flickering just beyond the beam of the motion-censored light. It's quick, so quick you wonder if it's real, or imagination threading through the dark. You pull back from the peephole slowly, senses taut. The latch on the door is exactly where you left it, turned fully and tight. You run your fingertips along the edge, making sure it won't budge. Your mind runs through every detail again. The time, the weather, the isolation. No car lights have passed in an hour. No dog barks or distant voices. This stretch of forest is quiet, everything swallowed in rain and fog. You press your ear gently against the door. The rain has softened to a muted patter, like a heavy curtain swaying. The leaves stop rustling. Silence folds across the porch. For a moment, the world is still as the cabin itself seems to hold its breath with you. Then the latch clicks softly, a sound you didn't expect, and your body reacts before your mind catches up. No one is there when you peer through the peephole again. Just damp wood and blown leaves pressed against the frame. Your pulse hums in your ears, each beat louder than the last. You step back, hands trembling slightly, the warmth inside the house suddenly more precious, more fragile. In that quiet, the question settles in between heartbeats. When the night offers no answers, how much of what you hear is the world, and how much is the watching waiting in your own mind? Before we get started, a quick thanks for being here. Wherever you are and whatever time you're listening, I appreciate it. If you haven't already, go ahead and hit like and subscribe. Let's share these moments together. Now, it's just past 2:43 a.m., and the rain is drumming a soft, uneven tattoo against the side window of the cabin. The air smells of wet earth and pine. Cold, damp air presses gently against your skin where your sleeve has ridden up. Outside, the night is moist and heavy, a quiet blanket soaked in shadows. You're sitting near that side window, the one that looks out over the narrow porch and into the dense trees beyond. The porch light hums quietly, flickering now and then, mixing with the faint glow of a moon wreathed by clouds. It's the kind of quiet that seems normal until you start to notice the small things. The slow drip of water gathering at the gutter, the occasional rustle of leaves sliding across the wet wood planks. A sudden sharp tap against the glass makes you jump. Your heart clicks a little faster, and you reach out to brush your fingers against the cold window pane. Rain streaks down in thin rivulets, carving tiny paths through the scattered drops. The wood frame feels slick and chill beneath your palm, cold enough to make your skin prickle. Outside, the sound of leaves shifting grows louder, soft scraping mixed with the steady pulse of dripping water. The wind has picked up, carrying wet leaves in a slow swirl across the porch. You catch a flicker of movement at the edge of your vision. Something light steps just beyond the yellow wash of the porch light. A silhouette? Or just the play of shadows beneath the heavy limbs of the fir trees? It's hard to say. You pull back from the window quietly, the floor creaking underfoot as you shuffle toward the hallway. The cabin feels suddenly too warm, almost suffocating, as if the cold outside is pressing to get in through every seam. You pause by the back door. The old lock clicks under your fingers, tight and secure. A faint, wet trail glistens on the wood step outside, too thin to be much, but definitely fresh. Footprints, maybe something larger than your own. The storm shakes the roof with a soft growl, distant thunder rolling low, barely audible beneath the rain's steady rhythm. You listen to the silence that follows, the kind of quiet where every sound becomes a signal. A slow creak from the corner of the porch, wood swelling with moisture, or something stepping carefully, trying not to be heard? Your phone sits on the kitchen table, screen dim but ready. You check the time again, 2:45 a.m. You think about calling someone, a friend, the local sheriff. Just to hear a voice, anchor yourself. But the silence creeps back in, thick and wrapping. In this precise moment, the warmth of the cabin contrasts sharply with the cold outside, and your body feels caught between two worlds, safe and vulnerable all at once. You wonder how often the mind fills the spaces between what it sees and hears with stories it can't confirm. Was that shadow real? Or just a trick of the clouds sliding past the moon? The rain keeps falling, steady and patient, as the night leans in close. And in the stretch of quiet that follows, you find yourself asking, when everything's still but your own breath, how long do you wait before stepping outside or locking the door again? Thanks for being here tonight. Wherever you are, and whatever hour you've chosen to listen, I'm glad you're sharing this moment with me. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe. There's something about the quiet of a rainy night that feels worth returning to. It's just past 1:56 a.m., and rain taps a gentle rhythm against the porch roof. The air smells of wet wood and softened earth, cool enough to make the hairs on your arms stand on end. You step toward the back porch, drawn by a sound too faint to name, but sharp enough to pull you away from sleep. The cabin around you is dark, except for the soft glow of a single lamp you left on inside. The light leaks through the window, casting long, muted shadows on the floorboards. Outside, the porch is slick with rain and the faint smell of moss and damp leaves. Your foot presses down on the first step. The wood creaks under your weight. The rain continues its soft drum, a quiet layering of drip, tap, splash. You notice something different on the wood planks now. Two muddy footprints, dark and uneven. They're small, maybe someone's shoes, but fresh enough that the dirt is still moist, the edges not yet blurred by raindrops. The prints lead along the porch toward the side gate, then stop abruptly. You crouch closer. The smell of wet earth and something faintly metallic, maybe just the wet iron from old nails in the porch, mixes in the cool air. Above you, the canopy of pine branches sways softly, leaves brushing against one another with a wet rustle. Somewhere in the distance, a loose shutter creaks quietly, pushed by the wind. The rain muffles other sounds, but here, the night seems to hold its breath. You rise slowly, senses sharpening with every shadow around the cabin's edges. The back door's bolt is pulled snug, and you test the handle. It won't budge. That gives you a small measure of relief, but your heart still beats a little faster, each pulse marking seconds you count silently in your head. The glow from your phone screen illuminates the porch as you check the time. 1:58 a.m. Your fingers tighten around the device as your gaze drifts back to the muddy prints. They couldn't have been here when you went inside earlier, locking windows and doors one by one. You think about footsteps, how some arrive with sudden certainty, and others creep in quietly, leaving only whispers behind. The wind picks up again, sweeping leaves in a slow, swirling dance along the porch floor. You lean closer to the prints, then glance up at the window beside the door. From inside, the warm lamplight appears cozy, settled. Outside, the night smiles a little darkly through the rain, waiting for something to move, for another sound to break the silence. Your senses strain for any hint, another scuff, a breath caught in the wet air. You switch off the porch lamp, letting the cabin fall into a quiet darkness that matches the night beyond. The rain softens to a drizzle. The world presses close and still. Holding your breath, you consider how thin the line is between what we know and what we imagine in moments like this. And in that silence, you ask yourself, how many footsteps does it take before we stop waiting and start believing? Before we dive in, thanks for joining me tonight. Wherever you are, whatever the hour, I'm glad you're here. If you haven't already, go ahead and tap like and subscribe. It makes these quiet hours worth returning to. It's just past 4:09 a.m., and outside, a cold drizzle threads through the fog. The scent of damp pine clings to the air, heavy with earth and rain-soaked leaves. You feel the chill pressing through the thin sleeve of your shirt, skin prickling, breath soft and visible in the damp darkness. You stand near the front window of the cabin, fingers wrapped around a mug long forgotten, its warmth fading. The porch light is off, swallowed by mist and shadow. Outside, the road isn't much more than a glimmer of wet asphalt, disappearing into the woods, empty, save for the low, pale glow of a pair of headlights cutting through the thick fog like twin searchlights. They hover on the edge of visibility, diffuse and uncertain, moving slowly, hesitating, as if unsure. Your pulse speeds a little, not from fear exactly, but from that sharp thrum of being alert, of caught attention. You strain against the dimness, watching the reflected light shift over wet leaves and the slick porch boards. Somewhere just beyond the reach of the light, the hush of raindrops gathers, a steady, soft drumming that fills the silence between more tangible sounds, the scrape of branches, the faint scuffle of something brushing against the side of the cabin. You set the cold mug down carefully on the kitchen counter, muscles taut but controlled. The walls are quiet. The hum of the old heater fills the room, with a reluctant warmth that can't quite beat back the damp chill that presses in. Your phone screen glows faintly nearby. You glance at it. 4:11 a.m. No missed calls, no messages, only that gentle pulse of the night settling deeper outside. You move toward the back door, locked tight, the bolt sliding into place with a small, reassuring click. Outside, the fog rolls further across the yard, blurring the outlines of trees, rocking the damp masses of leaves in slow waves. A faint rustle draws your attention to the side of the porch. Something shifts in the corner of your vision, maybe a movement, or just a shadow sliding along the ground. The rain sings over the roof, a constant steady patter smoothing over the sharp edges of the night. Your senses search for more, a creak in the wood floor, the snap of a twig in the underbrush, the whisper of footsteps too light to confirm. You step closer to the window, peering through the glistening droplets where the headlights cast their eerie glow. The vehicle's engine hums low and steady, but no driver appears, no figure emerges from the mist. Just the cold gleam of metal and glass, waiting, watching. You think about how the night draws shapes that may or may not be real, how fear can live in the spaces between sight and certainty. Outside, the fog thickens, swallowing sound and light alike, and the headlights fade slowly, retreating down the empty road. You stand there for a moment longer, caught between the warmth inside and the uncertain dark beyond. In that lingering quiet, you wonder, when the night watches back through glass and mist, who is really looking and who is being seen. Thanks for joining me tonight. Wherever you are and whatever time it is, I'm glad you're here, sharing this quiet moment. If you haven't already, take a second to like and subscribe. These nights deserve to be shared. It's just past 3:33 a.m., and rain is falling steadily outside, tapping softly against the cabin side window. The smell of wet wood and earth fills the cool air, wet enough to leave a chill on your skin where your sleeve has ridden up. You can hear it, the soft, insistent patter of rain, rhythm weaving through the quiet hum of the old heater nearby. You're sitting at the bottom of the narrow stairs that lead up to the attic. The floorboards creak beneath your weight, the wood damp and cool beneath your fingertips as you pause to listen. The air up here is thick with the scent of dust and forgotten things, mixed with the sharper fragrance of rain seeping through small cracks in the roof. Somewhere near the edge of your hearing, just above the steady sound of rain, there's a faint rustling, like fabric brushing against wood. Quiet, deliberate. You swallow the dry taste in your mouth and slowly begin to climb, each step careful to avoid the loud creaks that might echo through the silence. Halfway up, the narrow shaft of your flashlight cuts through the gloom, illuminating boxes stacked haphazardly, wrapped in old blankets and newspapers yellowed by time. A low groan rises from the house itself, settling into the rain's rhythm, and you feel the cold draft brush past your neck. The hairs there rise, a tension threading through your skin. At the attic door you pause. The wood is cold to touch, splintered at the edges, the latch rusty but holding firm. You lift your flashlight higher, eyes scanning the carved shadows, watching for the shape that might lurk behind. For a moment, there's nothing but the sound of rain on the roof, slow and steady. Then the rustling returns, softer this time, coming from just beyond the threshold. You set your hand on the doorknob. It's slick with moisture, and you hesitate, waiting to hear if the house answers. A soft creak sounds like something shifting behind the walls. A moment of silence settles, thick and full. You lean in closer, breath shallow, catching the faint, almost human sound of movement. Your heart pulses in time with the rain, a steady drum in your chest. You think about the isolation of this place, how far you are from the nearest neighbor, the way sound carries differently here, worn thin by solitude and weather, how easy it is to imagine footsteps just out of sight, whispers twisting with the wind through the trees. You remind yourself to check the phone again. 3:35 a.m. No missed calls, no alerts. Slowly, you take the latch in your fingers. It yields with a quiet pop, and the door swings open just enough to show a sliver of darkness beyond. The beam of the flashlight slips inside and catches a flicker, something moving just out of reach, a breath of air stirring a loose newspaper. No shapes resolve, just shadows pulled taut against the fading light. You retreat a cautious step, heart still racing but mind clearing. The rain softens outside, rain so light it almost seems like a pause, a moment held between breaths. The house relaxes too, creaking back into itself. And that's when it comes, the stillness filled with the question you can't quite answer. Is it the night playing tricks, or something waiting patiently in the shadows, just beyond the door?